In this video, I'm just going to quickly go over how to update the firmware from the SD card on the tetracords. So first thing, turn off the module, put the firmware you want on the SD card, put the SD card back in the module, unplug all the jacks just to be safe, and then while turning on the module, press Shift and track 1, hold it, turn it on, and this is the firmware loading screen. So if I press this button, it will load the firmware that's currently on the SD card onto the module. If I press this button, it will abort the loading of firmware and the tetracords will just be in normal operation mode. If this button is flashing, it means that the firmware that's currently on the SD card is different to the firmware that's on the module. The firmware is currently the same, that's why it's not flashing. I can see the firmware number by these 4 knobs and the lights. So the number is currently 1111 firmware version, but if it was 1113, this white light would be on the 3rd option. So that's just a way of showing what firmware version is on the SD card. And then if I want to see what firmware version is currently on the module, I can press Shift and these lights will change and it will show me what firmware is currently installed on the module. So I'm going to go ahead and load this firmware. The lights will give you a representation of the progress. And once it's finished, after about 25 seconds, 30 seconds, it will just boot up the tetracords with the new firmware. And that's how you load firmware onto the tetracords.